What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel here in my dad's shop. Today we are kind of just doing not too much, but we're going to be focusing on figuring out these plates that we have built here for the rad support for the Ford fenders, as well as I'm going to go outside and deal with the old Ford frame and get those cab mounts taken off so we can mount them on the Dodge frame. Tay's just dealing with the hood right now, realigning it. While he does that, I'm gonna go outside and start ripping those cab mounts off and bringing them in here. All right, so Tay and I just went outside and we pulled the cab mounts off the Ford frame. We didn't film anything out there because it's so dark and the GoPro cannot pick up on that low light capability. It's just not built that way. So we at least have the mounts now off. Tay is just test fitting right now to see what we're kind of dealing with. And let's see how it's looking. Honestly, that is lining up really nice. So there's only minor modifications we're gonna have to do to those mounts and make that work. So that is unreal.
Yeah.
Sweet. So we're not gonna deal with those just yet. We just wanted to unbolt them and see what we were kind of dealing with. Now, what Tay and I are gonna deal with, we're gonna actually focus on the front end and get these plates that we built for the rad support to mount to the Ford fenders, get these a little bit more dialed. Tay did some measurements and realized the back end of the cab is 1 inch farther this way. So we're gonna shuffle it over a bit, take a couple more measurements, and then we are gonna start focusing on securing these plates, not with clamps, and actually for sure being secured in there. So let's go work on that. So the welder fabricator showed up, so he wants to do some welding. He's all stoked. He's all hot and horny to do some welding. So we're gonna tack these in place. Like I said, get these in place, and then we can start taking this all apart. So we'll let him do what he wants to do, tack them up, and then we'll start pulling everything apart. Change of plans quickly. Before we tack the front end in, Tay had a good idea. We should put the doors on and make sure.
I'm full of good ideas.
He's not full of good ideas. He's full of shit. And we should mount the doors and make sure everything fits with these fenders.
The welder. I think the welder had a good idea.
Yeah, the welder is a good idea at welding. But yeah, we're gonna get these doors on and make sure everything's fitting with the fenders and everything, and we have correct gaps before we start, welding and keeping stuff fully secured and done. Let's get these doors on. The doors on, kind of gotten our gaps figured out here, making sure everything works and actually the door opens and doesn't buckle. So pretty happy with these gaps. They're not perfect, but at the same time, the truck was not perfect before, but we got them better than I think they were originally. So that being said, we're gonna get Dad on the welder and he's gonna start tacking up these tabs or these plates that we built. So we'll get him going on that.
Fender mounts all welded into the rad support. So the fenders now are solid. They're just tacked on. Once we pull them off, we'll give them a good weld up. But we got the hood. We tested the hood fitment. We got a nice gap. It latches up nice and center in the hood latch. So that's good. So now we're just going to pull both front fenders off and get working on the cab mounts. Right, buddy?
That's right.
So let's pull some fenders.
All right, day two.
So, welcome back, everybody. Day two on the truck build. Day two?
Day two.
Episode what, 7?
I don't know.
6?
I don't know.
Welcome back.
I don't know what episode. They all kind of conjoined. So we were talking about the cab mounts. Dad's going to help us with that kind of setup. He's just doing a couple things right now. So while he's busy, or my dad's busy, Tay and I are going to drop the gas tank and get that out of the way.
It's a fuel tank because it's diesel, it's not gas.
So Tay and I are gonna get the diesel tank out of the way. And then we also are gonna start cleaning up a little bit of the inside, getting all this out and making this look all pretty, not so mangled. So yeah, we're just gonna clean up the front end now that we have all the fenders off and actually make it look a little bit nicer. And then we'll get the tank out and then we will start focusing back on the cab mounts and getting that sorted. So let's get this tank out of the way first so we can actually then focus on the back cab mounts, because there, you probably can't even see, it's so dark. That is where the cab mounts and it's right above the tank. So we gotta get this out of there. Well, can't find any safety shades in Dad's shop, so this is what we're gonna do.
That might be
enough.
Might be enough. If not, you might be able to break it free now with half the threads cut off.
Yep.
Yeah, have us jacked up. I'm a little bit far to the back, so you might just have to balance the front of the tank when
That's
you bring
fine.
it down.
I'll balance it with my hips.
Perfect. Okay. You tell me when.
Ready?
You all right there?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
There you go.
There she is.
Our redneck creeper. Just a little moving pad, works great. Tank's out, so that's good. I'm gonna start cleaning up front and getting that rad support looking a little bit better, not so hacked. Okay, now just gonna grind that all down, make it look a little bit prettier, and then it looks a bit better than those giant plates. All right, well, we kind of took a little bit of a break on the crew cab. Sorry, mid-video, we kind of are jumping here. There was just a lot going on in our lives. We had other things brought up, so we had to basically cut the video or what we were filming that day, right where you just saw a couple seconds ago. So let's catch you up to speed now. Pretend this didn't happen and continue this video. While this whole fiasco was going down, Dad went out and built some templates for the front cab mounts and got some basically cut and ready. So there's his mounts there. Just used some ram boards, super simple. And Dad mocked it all up, cut this all out just for this giant hump on the frame. So that's kind of the idea of what we're gonna do for the plate. And then everything will be bolted through here. And then there'll also be a back one as well, of course. Kind of all dialed. So there you guys go. That gives you a little bit of ideas. And then over here, we have some steel. Dad got all bent up and it's just tracing right now that exact template on there. And we'll cut those out and then those will get mounted onto here. We'll weld it all up and then we'll bolt these to the frame. Let's do some tracing and some cutting and go from there. Marked out everything. We're using our little ram board templates. What we're using for this is it's just over, it's like 11 gauge steel or whatever, so it's just over an 1/8 inch thick, which will be more than enough once we get this all welded on to these mounts. So Dad's just going to grab the grinder because it's in a shop vehicle right now, and we'll start cutting these out, and then we can start mounting them and welding them to these cab mounts. I gotta let Dad just keep his system, and he's just gonna do it and kill it. He's good at this. I'm not as good at it. Dad's cut out the first front plate, got it all marked out. We marked out on here basically where this is gonna bolt to the frame. So I'm gonna drill on the drill press, get these holes drilled out so we can mount it to the frame. Sorry if you couldn't hear any of that, Dad's grinding on the other one. What are you doing over here, Dad?
I just feel that bottom one was too low,
Oh yeah.
right? So I raised it up a bit. We can still get a nice weld across here, and then we still got good purchase down here,
Sweet.
right? For that clearance, so. There we go.
Nice work. So this is kind of the idea of how it's gonna mount. These are, imagine this being the frame here, and then Dad's gonna weld all along here and also on the inside. And then the frame has that little notch here, so that's what that's cut out for. So that's kind of the idea of what they're gonna kind of look like. What we're gonna do now is mount these on. We're gonna tack these to the mounts, and then we'll start pre-drilling through the frame as well, and then we can bolt these to the frame and get that going. So also, shout out to Dad. Dad's been a huge help on this. He's fucking killing it. So without him, we'd be screwed. Like, this guy is a magician with the welder. So big shout out to Paul.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. So
And we got our puck. We're pretty happy,
Got our puck.
right? That's gonna come up into the gubbins. Oh, it sits up. Oh, maybe we gotta make sure you disconnect the battery.
yeah, battery's disconnected, buddy. Don't you worry.
We're sponsored by Mountain Dew. Thank you, Mountain Dew, for the sponsor.
We're not sponsored by that crap. That stuff's like goat piss. It's so bad.
Perfect. There we go.
You happy with that?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a little bit tacked together.
that's one.
All right, one down. Let's go to the driver's side and do the exact same. All right, we got the driver's side all clamped up. I think that's where she's gonna sit. That puck sits nice where we want it to, onto the frame there, or onto the body. What do you think, Dad?
I think it's good. We'll talk to everything else.
Cool.
We'll make it work. Right? Because once we get all this done, we do have to cut our puck, and it's going to be 1.5 inch here, 1.75 inch here. We're going to just snipe it, and then when we put that in, that'll support the upper body mount, and then we'll put the other one from the bottom with the washer. And but we'll just tack this one in place until we get the front clip on to make sure that our fenders line up and everything, because if we have to move it a little bit, it'll be fine. There you go, gentlemen.
Okay, let's drill these out and mark them. Okay, that side's all marked out. Those are now marked out in the 4 holes, and then we can actually take these off and also move the cab, and we'll know where these need to sit now. And now Dad is going to weld up the cab mounts fully and get those dialed.
Make sure your apprentice does his job and grinds the paint. As you can see, we have some bubbles, which is porosity.
Damn apprentice, that's me.
Fudge.
Is that the plan, Fudge?
Yeah.
Well, it's a Ford and a Dodge, right? Fudge?
Yeah. Let's go
Fudge.
take the Fudge out for a drive.
Take the Fudge out.
Dad has named this the Fudge. Cab mounts are just mocked up. They're bolted up right now, and they align with the puck and everything, which is good. So that's good. We're gonna work on the back now. Tay's gonna lift the cab up, and we can work on the back cab mounts. And then once that's done, we'll throw a fender on to make sure we're aligned properly, mount the back completely, and then we'll start dealing with the pucks coming up and actually mounting that properly. Those pucks, yeah. That'll be our last thing we gotta do. Good job, Tay, thank you. All right, so I just drilled out some of the plates that we're gonna use for mounting the rear cab mount. Dad's rigging it all up. This is basically where the back of the cab mount's gonna sit, and it needs to be raised 3/4 of an inch. So these plates are gonna basically sit there, and we're gonna bolt it across like so. That's kind of our game plan. We just have some pilot holes we had to drill out for that rivet, so that would actually sit flush onto the frame. These will just be our little pilot holes. Dad's gonna start drilling the frame back here and getting that side dialed, and then he'll work over here and drill through onto the frame on this side. Let's go see what T Swift's up to. All right, there we go. It's a little dark back here, but Tay is now just bolting the structure from, this is the bar we're gonna be using, and these are gonna be welded to those plates that we're bolting onto the frame. We're gonna box all this in to make this a little bit stronger too, but we just wanna mock it up, make sure it fits properly. Let's continue on to these mounts. We're gonna drill these through, and then once that's done, we can now put this plate on top and do the exact same and drill them through. We can bring the cab back over or roll that back under, bring it down, and then tack it to these plates that we're gonna build.
Okay, so these two can be drilled 1/2 inch.
Okay, I'll do that.
Almost like kind of knew what we're doing.
Right? That'll do for now. Everybody, quick.
Yep.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Oh. Time to push the cab back, or the frame back. Frame's getting pushed back, and the cab. That's what we're doing. Let's do it. You gotta go up.
Also, let's just take a second on Dad's nice mounts that he built. Those are pretty sexy. So they will be bolted through the top
Yeah,
too, but we
I'm
don't have any hardware yet for that, but gives you the idea. So push this back. Yeah, I could have sworn I saw the thing. So, through the fenders on, through the front doors on, we want to make sure everything aligns properly. Our door gap here to the fender is actually better than it ever has, even before I bought the truck. So that actually lines up pretty decent. We do have to adjust the hood. We knew that, because you can see this is a horrible gap here. We're gonna have to notch the hood hinges properly. They've always been gapped really bad, and I want to fix that. This gap of fender to door is killer. Other side's the same way, but we just want to make sure everything is aligning properly before we fully get the cab mounts dialed in the exact locations. In the back, it's mocked up, it's bolted through to the frame on each side, and the bar across has been bolted to the cab mounts that are mounted to the cab. These just need to be welded fully. We're going to box them all in to make them even stronger. Very simple back mount, but you don't need to do anything. You don't need to over-engineer things like this. It's just, this is a simple way of doing it. Yes, we could have made it look sexier, but this definitely will work into how we want to do it. I'll probably end the video at this one. This video was, like I said, quite a hodgepodge of probably a couple days to weeks. There was just a lot going on during this time to do these cab mounts.
busy, you know?
Life has been quite busy for me and Tay. There's lots going on. There's also, might be a little sneak peek to a new vehicle that we picked up. So that also kind of took us off from this. So you'll see in future videos of maybe we'll show you what we picked up. It's quite unique. So, but anyways, enough of me talking. I'll end it at this. Thank you guys all for, you know, hanging around on this truck build. Some of these videos are going to be quite boring to some of you, and some of you might find them a lot more interesting, but we'll still be putting out content. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below on anything, you guys, any suggestions on maybe how we're filming or editing, and let us know how it's all turning out. So see you on the next one.